I want to turn now to Trump campaign senior advisor Boris Epshteyn and nationally syndicated radio talk show host and senior fellow with the New Leaders Council, Richard Fowler. Great to see you both. So, Boris, let's just skip over the discussion about whether this is legal, because it's perfectly legal what Trump did.
Of course.
And I don't know anybody who wants to pay more in taxes than they actually owe. I mean, just because they feel like it would be the morally right thing to do. Show me that person. Love to meet him. So let's just talk about where Hillary really seems to be going with the argument, which is, A, what kind of a brilliant businessman loses $900+ million in a year? And B, what about all the small contractors and stockholders who got completely screwed the year that he lost all that money, and he took advantage of it for years thereafter by not paying any taxes, but they were hung out to dry?
Well, a couple of things there. First of all, and not to get too boring for your viewers here.
Good policy.
But that $1 billion, that's not, or $960 million, that's not in 1 year. That's accumulated over a series of years. So it's not that he lost $1 billion.
He took the loss in 1 year.
He took the loss, and that's what you do in taxes. By the way, in 2009, GM took a loss of $16 billion.
Okay, but GM is not running for president as a brilliant businessman.
But the case of the matter is, the fact of the matter is that this is a very accepted practice. It's something that you do because you want your corporation to continue.
We're skipping that part because we're giving you that point. Let's move on to the two relevant points.
The reason you do that is because you want to continue as a business, because the government wants you to continue as a business, to employ people, and that's what Donald Trump has done.
You're not answering any of my points. The argument she's making, I'm giving you the opportunity to respond to the argument she was making everywhere today, which was, what kind of a brilliant businessman has losses like that? And he may have wound up okay, but he screwed the little guys, the contractors and so on who didn't get paid, and the stockholders who got paid out pennies on the dollar.
He didn't screw anybody. First of all, it's accepted knowledge that Mr. Trump has made a fortune twice. He made a fortune, then there was the real estate crisis.
Did he give it back to those people who got screwed?
Then there was a real estate crisis of the early 90s, and then he's made billions and billions of dollars since. And by the way, because he was able to rebound, he's employed tens of thousands of people since that time period, while Hillary Clinton hasn't created a job outside of the DOJ
Let's
and
pick it up
FBI.
There. Richard, how about that last point? Because Trump was able to rebuild his business and employ so many people, and because every job you give actually creates several other jobs, you know, his defenders say, look, he worked the system, everything he did was perfectly legal, you would have done the same thing. He had no obligation to run around, once he rebuilt his fortune, paying off small businesses that didn't get paid pursuant to the law.
Well, here's the thing. I actually agree with Boris on that point. I think he used the laws to his advantage, but that's the problem with the laws and why we have to change them.
And we agree with that.
And if you look at taxes, if you look at Trump's tax plan, there's nothing about changing them. He doesn't talk about closing the loophole for hedge fund managers. He gives millions and millions of dollars to rich people like himself, while the little guy suffers. Even though he is creating jobs, he might create jobs for builders, he might create jobs for secretaries, but they are paying 38%. 39%, 42% in taxes, and when Donald Trump when he releases his tax returns, we'll find out he's only paying 5%, maybe 6%.
Is that a guess, Richard?
I'm making an educated guess because Mitt Romney paid 14%, so he has to be paying less than Romney because he calls him an idiot. So I'm assuming he's paying less than Romney.
Well, we don't know how much Trump paid because he won't release the taxes, Boris. Go ahead.
Listen, as an attorney, let me tell you that, first of all, no one can guess about what Mr. Trump is paying. That's incorrect.
We'd like to just know. Maybe if he would release the returns, we would just know.
Look at Mr. Trump's tax plan. It's a lowering of all the tax brackets, a simplifying of the tax brackets. So I don't know where Richard is getting his points from, but it's not from the Trump tax plan.
All right, let me ask you this. Boris, I got to go, but I want to ask you this. Why is Trump out there tweeting things like a lot of bad people are not paying taxes and criticizing 50% of the country for not paying taxes and criticizing Obama's tax rate when he's not paying any taxes on his income?
Well, again, you don't know that, and that's just an accusation you're making, Megyn, right?
So why won't he release the tax returns?
He's admitting today that he took advantage of the tax laws, and Trump's defense to the New York Times story, Boris, as you know as well as I, has not been, it's wrong and I didn't, they're wrong about what I paid.
He took a net operating loss. Donald Trump has paid millions and millions of dollars in wage taxes, real estate taxes, etc. And then the most importantly, he is going to close loopholes.
Why can't we see it?
Let him finish, Richard.
Let me finish, Richard. Let me finish. He is going to close loopholes. He's going to end the carried interest loophole. That's exactly what's benefiting those hedge fund managers. He specifically has talked about that.
Richard,
and the Democrats, of course, are skipping that point because
the last word will be very
speak.
short. The last will be very short, Megyn. It's pretty simple. Like Ronald Reagan says, trust but verify. First thing with the American people to see is his tax return.
No, first thing is the emails.
Can I finish? We need to see his tax returns. Before he talks about a tax policy, let's see his tax returns. Every American president or presidential candidate has released his tax returns. We are now less than 40 days out, almost 40 days out, and we have not seen his tax returns.
What does he hide? She releases the emails, she releases the tax returns.
Thank you, guys.
Let her
what has he got to hide?
I'll
What
tell
we
you
got
what,
to hide?
it's like Trump is getting ripped for on the tax returns, the box, like he didn't check the box. I'd like to donate $1 to help with like some cause. I hate when they do that because you don't know, maybe you don't know anything about this particular charity, right? Like it's when you're in like the Dwayne Reed or the CVS and they're like, would you like to donate $1 to help dying animals? And you're like, no, I just want this pack of gum. So like, oh, the shame. But you don't know about the charity. Like I will look into that charity or my own charities and I will donate in my own time. Okay, I had to get off my chest. I only donate to the no-kill shelters. Anyway.